Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lindsay's Little Library. I'm here today to share with you what I read in the month of February. I had high hopes for February. I had quite a big TBR pile pulled aside for it, and I did okay. I did fine. I didn't quite tackle as much as I wanted to, but I'm really happy with what I did get read. First off, I finally finished Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. This book, I'm so glad that I read this book. I'm so glad that I joined the group on Goodreads and did a read along with this. I fell a little bit behind, but not too bad. I did get it done kind of in the scheduled, I think it was 7 weeks that we were supposed to read it. And I really, really loved this book. Absolutely 5 stars. I still think about these characters and I still think about how it ended and the trials and tribulations and just really following this male-dominated cattle drive going from Texas to Montana, and I loved every bit of this story. As you guys know, historical fiction is completely my jam. I love it. I am gravitated toward it all the time. Definitely did not disappoint. A few times it got a little wordy. This was definitely harder, and not hard to read. That's not the right term. I had to take my time with it. I definitely didn't go through the same kind of number of pages I normally do, maybe in a night. Usually I can go through 50 pages, no problem. This one I'd be about 20 pages and I'd be like, okay, that's enough. I have to like take a break and really kind of digest it a little bit. So it was very, how do I say this? Like jam-packed with descriptions and jam-packed with events and hardships and emotions. It was just, it was wow. Loved this book. Took me a little bit of time, but definitely a winner. If you're a historical fiction fan, pick this up. It's definitely worth it. I loved it. The next book that I got done in the month of February was And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This is about a group of 10 strangers who are drawn to a island, all by different means. They're all brought there. None of them know each other. And they all have different reasons for why they came, and then they quickly realized that they were all drawn there as part of a big plot or plan, and basically they start getting picked off one by one. There's a very good reference to a poem in here, so there's a lot of foreshadowing, but it's still mysterious as far as how it's going to follow kind of this plan that's set out for them. So I love this book. This is my first Agatha Christie book that I've read, and it will not be my last. I am surprised on how, considering this was written quite a while ago, and how it felt very modern to me, if that makes sense. I love the characters. I like the way it was written. I feel like I need to read it again, just now knowing what happened, to see if like what signs did I miss going through the book. For being a short book, this really totally packed a punch. Definitely 5 stars for me. Loved it. The next book I read in the month of February, I actually listened to on audio, is James Patterson's Sundays at Tiffany's. This is a little bit of a different writing style for James Patterson. He also wrote it with Gabriel Charbonnet. A little bit different style. Normally James Patterson's known for his mystery thriller type books that usually involve, like, he has a big series around the Women's Murder Club. There's a big series around an Alex Cross character. This is totally not that. This is about a woman who grew up, her name is Jane. She grew up with an imaginary friend named Michael. And when she turned 9 was kind of the time for the imaginary friend to go away, and she never really forgot him. Like, he really had a really big influence on her life. She grew up with her mom, but her mom was a very detached parent, so it was a little bit of a struggle. She really leaned on her imaginary friend. So we learn a little bit about that from when Jane was young, and then we find Jane in the present day, all grown up, trying to find her way in the world, and she comes across whom she thinks is her imaginary friend. Great little, I want to kind of call it a guilty pleasure read. It wasn't anything phenomenal. It wasn't anything earth-shattering. It was just a nice, easy read, and I needed that, especially in the midst of Lonesome Dove. So listen to this. It was a really short audiobook, like 6 hours, so it was good. I definitely recommend it if you're looking for a little bit of a break. The next book that I finished in the month of February was another audiobook. I listened to All Are Wrong Todays by Alan Mastabi. Here's the cover. I borrowed this through my Overdrive app at the library, and I kind of went on there just searching for something. A few of the books that I had on my TBR weren't available through audiobook, and I really only had time for an audiobook. So I just started kind of going through what I had flagged on my wish list, or my watch list, I think, something like that, within the app, and just to see what's available, and this one popped up. This is a science fiction book really centered around time travel. So it follows our character Tom, who is living in the future, and this is the future that we've always dreamed about. Think like Jetsons, like flying cars, everything is really efficient. There are no worries. I like how he explains that in his future, when you cut open an avocado, you never have to worry about if it's going to be bad inside or not. Sounds pretty good to me. I would love that. So his dad, he's not really doing, I mean, he's living life, but it's nothing grand. His father is a super successful scientist who has invented the first time machine. And on a whim, maybe there's a little bit of some emotion involved, he decides he's going to take that time machine for a little bit of a test drive and go back in time to when kind of things really started changing as far as the world that we know it. He goes back there, some things happen, and he gets brought back to the future that's really kind of our future that we live in right now. So we can open up an avocado and we don't know if it's going to be good or not. But in our future here, he finds out that he has a really loving family. He finds the love of his life. He's basically thinking, this is really great for me, but he's toying with this consciousness of, but I know this could be way better for everybody else, so now what do I do about it? I'm not a huge sci-fi person. I struggle with them sometimes, but I had no problem following along. There were a few parts I got a little, and I wouldn't even say lost, it just was a little more unbelievable, if that makes sense. But generally, I really, really like this book. I was definitely engrossed in it the entire time, wondering if I was in that situation, what would I do? It was very, very good. Loved the audiobook. I loved the narrator. It was amazing. There were definitely some twists that it took that I did not expect. There were some things that you learn as far as his take on what time travel does to somebody that I didn't expect. But I do highly recommend picking this up, and if you want to do the audio version, I really, really liked it. I toyed with what to rate it because I feel like 3 is too low, but 4 seems a little too high for me. I'm not a big fan of like the 3.5, but I mean, if anything, if I'm ever going to use a 3.5 star, it's probably on this book because it was good. It was, again, not something mind-blowing, but I do still think about it and just wonder about these parallels that are out there. I don't know if you've read Dark Matter, but it kind of has this same take on these parallel worlds that might be out there. So very, very good. If you like Dark Matter, if you liked, it has a Ready Player One vibe to it, sort of. If you liked any of those books, you would like this one. Again, it's called All Are Wrong Todays. So I read that book as well. So I am pre-filming this wrap-up video because I A, have a quiet house, B, have really good sunlight, and C, need to get it done because I have kind of a crazy busy few days here. I'm doing some traveling for work, and so I really won't be around home to be able to film it. So I'm going to say I will have this next book finished by the end of February because I think I can really knock this out in 3 days, but don't yell at me if I don't get it finished. But it's Lincoln in the Bardo by George Saunders. This follows Willie, which is Abraham Lincoln's son, and he passed away, and you know that right away, and he is living in a cemetery as a ghost, right? Interesting so far. It's written very different from what I'm used to. I don't know if I like it or not. So far, I want to go back to it. I'm still intrigued by it. I'm really kind of flying through it. I don't know, about a quarter of the way through, and it didn't take me long. But I'm not sure if I like the way it's written or not. So if we're going off gut instinct right now, I'm going to say this is probably a 4-star book for me. So we're going to go with that. And I should, again, finish it soon. I like the concept of it. I love the reasons why these ghosts are living in the cemetery, and you learn a little bit more about each of the ghosts that are present there and what does it mean when you're stuck there, and what does it mean that there's a child stuck there, because there's a little bit of a different twist to it. So anyways, Lincoln in the Bardo, I'm going to tell you as of this point, pick it up. It's a good book. I'll update you if I change my mind, but like I said, I should have it done by the end of February. The other two books that I am reading this month and probably won't get done, well, I know I won't get done until next month, we have Kristen Hanna's The Great Alone. Oh, guys. Wow. I mean, first of all, I love her, and I really need to do a spotlight on her as an author because she does not disappoint at all. So The Great Alone follows the Albright family, and Ernst Albright just came home from Vietnam, and this is in the days of people didn't really understand PTSD at all. So he's really suffering with what he went through in Vietnam, bringing it home to him. His wife Cora and his daughter Lenny, yeah, I'm reading it, how do I not remember her name? Are trying to go with it, and they're kind of moving in and out of towns. He can't really seem to keep a job. They're kind of wanderers. And Ernst comes home one day and has this really grand idea that they're going to move to Alaska, they're going to live off the grid, and it's just going to be them, and it's going to be so much better. So they do. They move to this very small town in Alaska at the very beginning of summer. They learn all about how Alaskans really need to rely on each other, and the town really helps them get started. But summer in Alaska is way different than winter in Alaska. Summer in Alaska is endless sunshine and abundance of food and water and wildlife and just growth and life in summer. But in winter, endless darkness and a lot of loneliness and a lot of kind of demons start coming out of Ernst again. So they go there at the beginning thinking this is the best thing that could have happened, and then winter hits, and wow. I am buddy reading this with a few of my friends from book club. So we've divided it up into 4 sections to read over the month, and I did the dividing up, and somehow every section ends on this big cliffhanger, which is just kind of crazy. But all of us are equally loving this book. I was nervous to go into it thinking that I would compare this to The Nightingale too much, and I'm really trying not to, because The Nightingale is on its pedestal by itself. This one deserves a pedestal right next to it. It's fabulous so far. So we will be finishing this up next month, but I'm totally right in the middle of it. The other book that we are reading as a family is The One and Only Ivan by Catherine Applegate. This was sent home. Every family at my child's school got a copy of this book, as well as a reading plan for the month to basically finish it over, I think, a span of 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So we have a set number of pages we have to read every night. We've just started. We're about a third of the way through or so far. This takes place in a shopping mall that has a few different circus types animals there as an attraction. So we have Ivan, who's the gorilla. We have Ruby, who's the baby elephant, and there's an older elephant named Stella, I think is the elephant. I've been reading this and I can't remember. But it kind of follows what is happening to them. Ruby is the baby elephant, is taken from her family and brought there as kind of the newest addition to this attraction. And there's some changes that are coming, and Ivan is kind of struggling with where he belongs. So really good so far. I've heard of really great things, and I'm excited to read this with the family. So that's going on as well. So that's it. That's what I've read in February. That's what I'm currently reading now. Overall, really great month. I love how the start of this year has already started as far as reading goes. I've really had really great books so far, so I like that. Anyways, if you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments below what you think of them. Otherwise, I will check in with you next time. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.